Listen, if you'd told me back in 2001 that we would still be making Fast and Furious movies in this, the year of our Lord 2021, I think I probably would have slapped you in your whole ass mouth. So here we are now celebrating the 20th anniversary of the Fast and Furious franchise, which is still ongoing with Fast 9 due to release in theaters next month. Who could have possibly foreseen this?
Not me.
This is a franchise that has survived based on three very basic principles. Fast cars go fast, giving a middle finger to physics, and of course, family. Because if there's anything we've learned across 8 films and 1 spin-off, there is no greater power for one to possess than family.
Family.
Family. Our family.
Your family.
Your family.
Family.
I don't have friends. I got family.
There's no larger safety net nor shield against all manner of weaponry than family. And I figured what better way to celebrate this confoundingly awesome franchise than by doing a retrospective on every single entry thus far, leading up to the release of Fast 9, The Fast Saga. Quite frankly, I have to applaud this franchise because they have fully embraced the telenovela aspect of these later films and said, hey, let's bring back Charlize Theron as Cypher as the villain with a bowl cut and pulling it off masterfully. And of course, our man Han Solo, Sung Kang, is back from the dead, and we don't care how it happened. We don't care how it gets explained in the film. All we know is that our man Han is back in the saddle again. In any event, let's just get the obvious out of the way, as despite the credits for this first film stating that it is based on a Vibe article called Racer X about illegal street racing in New York City, let's just be honest with ourselves, as I'm sure a lot of people already have been, about the fact that the first Fast and Furious film is a blatant ripoff of Point Break, which is actually celebrating its 30th anniversary this year. God, I'm old. Every major story beat from Point Break was utilized for the Fast and the Furious. We've got an undercover law dude who has to infiltrate some sort of youth culture activity to take down a gang of thieves. Undercover law dude befriends the most prominent figure in said youth culture activity. Undercover law dude initially suspects the rival gang to this most prominent figure, and it also turns out to be a red herring. Undercover law dude even falls in love with a woman closely tied to this prominent figure who he has now become best buds with. Both films even feature house parties. Come on now, this is just getting ridiculous, isn't it? And in the end, undercover law dude, having developed a new bond with this prominent figure, decides that he's going to let him go after everything that's happened. By rights, I should be mad at the Fast and Furious because Point Break had already been one of my favorite films leading up to this point, and I just have to say that for whatever reason, I was able to overlook this just off of the fact that I didn't think that anyone would have the unmitigated audacity to even take so much from a film like Point Break and repurpose it for this whole street racing crime drama. Now, obviously, there are a lot of people who look at the Fast and Furious franchise and see it being synonymous with Vin Diesel, but it was actually pushed more to elevate Paul Walker's status, with Vin Diesel taking a little bit of convincing before he finally got onto the project. There is an alternate reality where this film stars Eminem as Brian O'Connor, and Timothy Olyphant as Dominic Toretto. Yeah, I don't see those two having the same chemistry as Paul Walker and Vin Diesel. Although, I wouldn't mind seeing a version of The Fast and Furious with Elijah Dushku as Mia Toretto. Not gonna lie. But at the end of the day, there is no denying the chemistry between Paul Walker and Vin Diesel, and the way they just complement each other is outstanding. It's one of the definite high points of this film and the franchise overall. Paul Walker has this great way of taking Brian as a character and having him vacillate between being ridiculously overconfident and looking like he's 5 minutes away from shitting his pants at any given moment. And you have the counterbalance of Vin Diesel, who is just that fixed point for every other character in the film, and just the way that he manages to be confident without overselling it. He's very understated, and you just have that little undercurrent of rage that you can tell the character is really trying hard to hold at bay at every waking moment. Yes, the idea of living one's life a quarter mile at a time does sound like a slogan for Mountain Dew Code Red, but I swear to God, Vin Diesel, for anyone who says that this man isn't a good actor, he does a great job of just sort of selling you on that line. And to Paul Walker's credit, he's doing a great job of conveying the idea of Brian actually starting to buy into this whole philosophy. And none of it feels as hokey as you think it would. These characters are great together. It's kind of like you're meeting someone in school that you're convinced you're going to hate, and then a decade later you're one of the groomsmen at his wedding. I still haven't gotten over the fact that my cummerbund for my Tux rental was about a size and a half too small. All that aside, you can tell how laser focused the makers behind Fast and Furious were at aiming this film at the MTV TRL demographic back in the early 2000s. And they are pulling out all the bells and whistles to make it catnip for the young folk. Street racing and car culture was having a bit of a renaissance with the 18 to 34 crowd around the turn of the century, and you also had the great benefit of just this inherent multiculturalism that really worked in this film and subsequently the whole film franchise's favor. And the first Fast and Furious film definitely does not have a shortage of exhilarating car scenes, what with 10-second races that last around 2 minutes in real time, the climactic highway scene where Brian has to jump onto a freight truck from his Supra to rescue one of Dom's boys, and then both of them have to jump back onto the Supra. It's kind of crazy. And then, of course, you have the scene after that where Brian is tracking down the rival gang of Doms who just killed one of his other boys, and it's tense, it's dramatic, there's just an absolute rush as you're seeing everything happen. Anyway, there was this whole flashiness to the first Fast and Furious film where you kind of saw it harkening back to the era of the 1950s where dudes would race each other for pink slips, and now it's just been elevated to this whole other level where people are spending thousands of dollars to customize their cars. It's kind of insane to think of someone taking, their, hoopty and just tricking it out with upgraded engine, exhaust, all sorts of bells and whistles, and even just having just peripheral things in there like monitors and sound systems in the trunk, and you can even play video games while you're in your car. And this is something that would definitely lead into Pimp My Ride from MTV, which turned out to be a whole ass bag of lies, and I'm still processing that to this very day. But even better than all of this, you still kind of have to acknowledge how influential this film ended up being, especially when you think about that whole sort of POV shot of going into the engine of a car and then seeing the fuel being injected into the chambers and all sorts of stuff. I think that's how cars work, but don't quote me. But this in particular was something you would definitely start to see in other action films, and just kind of crazy to think that they were all adopting this visual language from the Fast and Furious, and they're still doing it to this day. Reviews for the film may have been mixed, but when you factor in that it made over $200 million with a $38 million budget and a relatively unknown cast, there's only so much you can say to sort of dispute its success. And obviously, we're still in this era where these films are coming out and not falling victim to the law of diminishing returns. It's kind of insane. This is usually something that we see happen with horror films a lot. And we've seen horror movie franchises that have gone into like 9, 10, even 11 films, and it's kind of ridiculous. But outside of that genre, this is something that does not happen. It does not happen. But damn it if Fast and Furious hasn't been beating the odds this whole time. And you can kind of see how it definitely influenced the rest of entertainment in terms of the proliferation of knockoffs and people that were trying to sort of get what that spark was about Fast and Furious that really worked. You had it with the criminally underrated cop show Fastlane, which I had a blast with for as long as it was on Fox. You had it with the sort of quasi-send-up film Torque, which involved motorcycle racers, and even that kind of led into stuff like Biker Boys, for example. You had a very disastrous knockoff of Fast and Furious with Redline, which was the original working title for the Fast and Furious. And even as recently as last year, you had the late, dearly departed DMX appearing in a film called Fast and Fierce Death Race. And you just kind of see where everyone's really trying to kind of nail down what works about Fast and Furious films and copy it. And most of them don't really do a really good job of it. Bottom line is, we are barely scratching the surface here. We have not dug deep into this franchise yet. There's so many more places for us to go. I can't wait. And in our next video, we will be covering a sequel that you would have thought would have been the first sign that this franchise was not going to last much longer, and also featured a title that was either brilliantly stupid or stupidly brilliant. You decide, as we talk about Too Fast, Too Furious in our next video. Hey guys, thanks for watching as always. If you've got your own thoughts or opinions on the Fast and Furious films that you'd like to share, go ahead and leave a comment in the section below. Don't forget to hit the like button, hit the notification bell, share this video with your friends and family, and if you'd like to keep up to date on more At Random videos, you can go ahead and click the subscribe button right over here.